Hello. Welcome to Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I'm Master Sergeant Retired AnnaMaria Bliven, and I am so excited to be bringing you Mission Pay It Forward Month. Yes, this is Mission Pay It Forward Month. This gives an opportunity for us to showcase nonprofit organizations that are working together to make sure that military veterans and warriors have what they need so that they can have a prosperous life, that they can actually be veterans onward to prosperity. And today we are so privileged to have our guest. I'm gonna make that a little secret. You'll have to stay tuned so that you can meet up with our guest. So don't go away.
You're watching the Disability Channel, showcasing abilities.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Master Sergeant Retired AnnaMaria Bliven, and this is Veterans Onward to Prosperity. Welcoming in our virtual studio, Rocky Blier. Oh my gosh, we are so privileged to have you here for so many different reasons.
It's always a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
For so many different reasons. For one thing, you are a fellow veteran, and I salute you for your service.
Well, Master Sergeant, I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Coming from a Spec 4, so I know my right.
Well, you know, it's like we all have our jobs to do,
right,
in the roles, and we're playing them, we're doing them. We never really stopped serving, did we, Rocky?
No, not really. You know, I mean, I think it's part of the makeup of those who serve their country, and part of their belief system is that you always have an opportunity to give back of one nature or another, and especially for the experiences that we've gone through, those who have served and want to help their fellow veteran along the way, and those that need a hand up, you're there to be able to give it to them.
Yes, you said a hand up. You know, not that we are going to be talking that if you give a hand out, you're giving somebody a fish and they're eating for one meal. But if you give a hand up, now you're teaching them how to fish. And now they can have as many fish meals as they want.
That's right. And you're right, and you're right. And I think that, I think one of the things in which you've done so very well is bring to your viewers and to your listeners just that, the fact that there's a lot of people out there that do need a hand up and along the way a push in one direction, but also a helping hand to be able to get to that point where they're willing to take that step forward. And so that, and a lot of it is within your own community that I really believe that you can make an impact, you as a listener. You don't necessarily have to be on a national program, but you look around and see what takes place. And small, and you just never know when a smile or a thank you or how can I help you or what can I give you goes a long way, that somebody cares about another fellow being, and usually that fellow being is somebody that has problems, to put themselves in the situation where they're dealing with a lot of a lot of mental situations, that have been either caused by their experiences in combat and or serving their country or being first responders. And so we try to do the best we can to be able to, help them.
Yes, and with that, there's resources and sources that come with the organizations that we want to showcase in this time together. And
Right.
one of them is Warrior to Citizen. Can you explain a little bit more about that one?
Well, Warriors to Citizens, so we've all heard about the statistics, mental health problems that veterans specifically go through, post-traumatic stress, divorce rates, and especially over the last 20 years of multiple deployments within our military families has taken its toll on the family structure. And given the fact is that, let's just say normally here in the world, a divorce rate is around 50%. Well, all of a sudden you put strains and stress on it. In the first deployment, that goes up to 60, 65%. You do multiple deployments, all of a sudden that divorce rate is up around 80%. So in this case is that military service affects not only the soldier, but it affects the family, it affects the wife and the kids and how they approach life thereafter. So what needs to be fixed in this case is specifically that there's programs out there for the soldier himself to be able to take a look at what he has done. But what becomes so important, and this is what Warrior to Citizens does, what becomes so important is that family core and family structure and the lives that it touches there. And that becomes the single most important factor in Warriors to Citizen, make that transition. And, and the great thing I like about this program is that it's supported by military bases around the country, and it's done by professionals within the counseling aspect of it. And it's free. And there's follow-up, and there's continuous follow-up, which becomes very important. We can do a lot of things, on a one-time basis, but it's usually that follow-up that becomes so important, that somebody cares. And if I have a question, I can talk to somebody that I've got a relationship with. So that's what Warriors to Citizen does on that basis. And so that becomes, I think, very, very important in helping those who in that transitional period are having structural or family problems.
Yeah, because what happens is during the deployment process itself, there's a lot of emotions, a whole bunch of emotions. Sure. And then if you're getting fed information while you're in the emotions, how much of that is actually going to be retained or even heard, right?
Right.
Right. And then in the demobilization, there's even more emotions, right?
Very much so, and so what you have, in this case over the war in the Middle East is that given our technology, you have a foot in two different worlds. Going back to Vietnam, Korea, and so on, we didn't have that technology, and the best we could do is write letters, and that would be a 2 to 3 week delay by the time they would get the letters and so on. Now you get instant communication where you're trying to do your job and all of a sudden, family's got a problem and you think that you need to solve it, but you can't because you're thousands of miles away. But that doesn't take away from the emotion or the strain of knowing what is happening back at home. And then, so then you have then you got a family structure and you have a wife that maybe takes charge. And then when you come back, well, she's taken charge over this period of time, and now you want to come back and invade her world, so to speak. And so that, just that kind of tension, has problems. Not that I'm a professional on that, but I've just seen it and talked to so many people that has occurred. So you need a family structure. And somebody to understand that family structure to be able to heal it.
Right, and to offer some suggestions and some ideas and some thoughts that when you're in the midst of all of that, you're not going to think about them.
No.
Right?
Right. Yeah, right.
Right.
And so it just becomes, that that you can't think about them in that, although you think about it, but you can't. But so you got this pulling that goes on and on within yourself.
Right, and it helps to have a voice of reason. It always helps to have a voice of reason. I've seen it over and over and over again where people have come back from the war expecting things to be the way they were before they left, and it's not so.
No.
I think we need to right at the mobilization site and the deployment site to set up that expectation.
No, and you're right, and part of the role is that chaplains play a very strong part in having somebody to be the voice of reason, to be able to be a sounding board, and the trust that soldiers have in their chaplains, whether you're religious or not, but becomes very important as an attachment. And so there's a heavy role by chaplains, and of course they can't be everywhere with everyone, but I just want to be able to point that out and say thank you for all those chaplains that have served and continue to serve, because they do a yeoman's job in trying to keep the sanity together.
Yes, and I join you with that salute and that shout out. So we're going to continue this conversation, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Let me introduce you to Frank Sinclair. He has a business called Dream Again Business Consulting. Frank believes that you were put on this earth for a specific reason. It's his job to find out why. If we follow the natural course of your life and your story, it always leads to your purpose.
Hey vets, you know who I am. This is Ranger Johnson, and I want to help you to get the VA disability rating that you deserve. And if you want to know more about the Ranger method, please go to championsforveterans.com and schedule a free consultation now. Stay in the fight!
Welcome back. Your host, Master Semi-Retired AnnaMaria Bliven, and I'm chuckling only because I'm so giddy that we have Rocky Blier in our studio today, and we have been talking about something very near and dear to him and to me and to everyone that has served and is serving, and that is keeping our family unit together. And Warrior to Citizen exactly has that mission to help military families with everything that goes on with the military experience. We raise our right hand, but we know we're not alone. We know we have our family, and our family has us. But to be honest, the military hasn't been doing a great job in preparing the family and preparing the military in the family. And so thankfully, and I give a shout out and a salute to Warrior to Citizen for doing what they do.
Thank you. And I think they do a wonderful job. And so it's, it's just it's a fact is that, they can't touch everybody, but it becomes an awareness factor. So from your listeners' point of view, and you might be able to do something within your own community, within your own realm of being able to help the family, because that becomes the core. I as a soldier, a very egocentric, I'm a soldier and I can do whatever I want to do and I can heal myself down the line, or nobody understands me, so I can talk to maybe another soldier about the stories or whatever takes place. But ultimately, in a family structure, the important thing is the communication within the family structure, understanding all the emotions with your spouse and with what the kids are going through, and being able to share it, because I think that becomes the most important thing. Once you get that as a basis for you, then you can move on. Then you can go on and do individual counseling or whatever it might be to be able to handle the mental strengths or the mental problems that we all carry at one time or another. So that becomes very important. And I just want the listeners to know that there are, I'm sure, organizations out there, there's groups out there, just so that you're aware, as I said before, is that you can get involved within your community and within your VA system, because there's a whole nother thing there too. And we talk about the VA, and sometimes as former military, as you go, well, it's maybe not the greatest, thing, but it is available, and they do have a concern, and they offer services but I got to be able to get you there to begin with, and to get your trust back within the military family, to be able to take advantage of those services. And so a lot of the organizations that are out there that help support individual soldiers also understand that problem and help you direct and get you through the process of taking advantage of what the VA does have to offer. And hopefully there can be a fit there.
Hopefully there can be a fit there, because Rocky, that if you're what they call an M-Day soldier, weekend warrior, and you didn't serve on active duty a certain amount of time, you cannot get services. Or if you don't even have a connected disability, service connected, you can't get services. But does that mean that's the end of the story? No, that is not the end of the story.
No,
and that brings me to the next one. You have two nonprofits that we're showcasing. The other one is Veterans Leadership Program. Can you talk us through that one?
Now, the Veteran Leadership Program is a program that has started. It started as the Vietnam Veterans Leadership Program some 30, 40 years ago, and then morphed into Veterans Leadership, into the Veterans Leadership Program as a whole. And so they're a hands-on organization here in Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and they morphed over to the eastern counties of Ohio within this region. And so, excuse me, so they're boots on the ground. I mean, so from a homeless perspective, and getting our soldiers out from underneath the bridges, giving them some hope, finding them, and taking care of those first basic needs of housing. They get you free housing. They get you jobs. They have hands-on, immediate help with mental health problems or whatever you're going through at this time, and then lead you into other organizations and support mechanisms for you. But the biggest thing is being there, being available, following up with calls, being interested in you as an individual. And as we well know, the statistic of homelessness within the veteran community, because of mental health problems, because of legal problems, because of drug problems, are just giving up, and they're on the streets, and they're under bridges, and so on and so on. So I like VLP very much, because they're out there and doing a hands-on job and in my community, and so I can have an impact of some nature by helping them from an awareness point of view, from a financial point of view, from fundraising point of view, whatever it is, and see the fruits of their labor really work well. So that's why. So that's why I, and when I talk about getting involved in your community, no matter where your listeners is because you can make a difference. You can make a difference. It doesn't have to be a national program, which might be easy to give just money to and say, okay, fine, I did my duty. But here is here is you can actually make a difference in somebody's life by getting involved in within whatever that organization might be. So that's why I'm involved in VLP and what they do.
I love the fact that regardless of VA eligibility, discharge status, or length of service, Veterans Leadership Program is on a mission to serve all who served. That's amazing.
Yes.
That is, that warms my heart as a veteran, because we know that with VA, you have to meet a certain eligibility criteria.
Right. And you do. And so in this case, that doesn't make any difference to them.
No.
And so they bring you in. They got in-house counseling that'll help. And a lot of it, and I'm not saying, but a lot of it is that somebody cares, about you. If you're out there by yourself and you just think that the world's passing you by, that nobody cares, whether you live or die, or what's happened to you. But as soon as somebody cares and somebody gets back to you and somebody follows up on what their word is and saying, hey, I'm going to do this, all of a sudden, your outlook kind of changes and you take some personal pride, because that's all soldiers in one respect or another have a personal pride in what they've done, and you touch that and it comes back, and so they'll help themselves to help you to help them.
Because there's two factors that's going on here. Mistrust is one, and the other is if you're serving in a service that's saying Army strong, it becomes ingrained that if you reach out for help, you're not strong.
Well, that's right. Yes. So it's our whole, it's the whole idea of how we perceive ourselves or what we've been taught, in the military. And I'm going to say this not to be differential, but as a male, and your male ego, is that I can get through anything, but it won't bother me, or, I don't need help at all. And so, you defeat your own purposes, and you got to overcome that and say, yes, I do need.
Okay, Specialist Bleier. I'm going to come from the female male.
No, thank you very much, Master Sergeant.
The fact that we have to prove ourselves.
Right.
We are looked as the weaker sex. So we're going to show you guys how we can be strong and take care of our own lives, because we are not the weaker sex like you make us out to be, right?
Right. Okay.
In the meantime, we're doing the same thing you guys are doing.
Yeah.
We are not allowing ourselves to say we need help.
Right.
And that's the bottom line to both of us, right?
Both of us, it is.
Male or female, you're not allowing yourself to say we need help.
Mm-hmm. And that's, and I think the biggest thing is getting over the perception that is a weakness, and it's really not a weakness. It's really a strength to be able to say, hey, I need somebody. I need some guidance. I need some direction. I need you to tell me what needs to be done. And that's where the real inner strength comes from, if somebody can get over that hump.
Yes. And the Veterans Leadership Program empowers veterans to do just that. Well, we're going to continue this empowering conversation right after these messages. Ron salutes as a LinkedIn business strategist and relationship advisor. He's the co-author of 21 Days to Success with LinkedIn. He's a guest speaker for the U.S. Army on veteran transition. Contact Ron at his website.
Mike Merwin here, U.S. Navy retired submarine officer turned entrepreneur. I turned my hobby of 25 plus years making beef jerky into a thriving small business. Made in small batches with only high quality ingredients, it's not good, it's crazy good. A portion of all proceeds helps save military lives. Order now on www.crazymikesjerky.com using code CB10 for 10% off.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Master Sergeant AnnaMaria Bliven, and this is Veterans Onward to Prosperity, and we have such a great privilege of having Rocky Blier in our studio, and we are talking about empowering, and we're also talking about the fact that we come from a culture in the military where we're seen as strong people, that we can figure this out and we don't need help, which is not the case when you're trying to build your life outside of the military. Right, Rocky?
Right. And I think one of the things, and I think, and this becomes very important in the long haul, is talking about these situations, telling one's story, because we all have a story of how we got to where we are today. So every soldier has a story, and unfortunately, from maybe the beginning of time, is that nobody talks about their story. Nobody talks about their service. I hear time and time again, and I'm sure you have, AnnaMaria, that Dad never talked about it, or Grandpa never talked about it, or my uncles never talked about their experiences or what they've gone through. And that's really a shame, because for future generations, current and or future generations, you don't have an understanding of what military service is all about. And I always like to make the analogy. I said is that as an athlete, for an example, as an athlete, you don't need to play professional sports to understand the mentality of being in the locker room. Of whether it be in grade school, junior high, high school, college, on the pros, a locker room is a locker room. And what goes on in a locker room doesn't change at all through those years. And it's the same way in the military. So you go through basic training, you go through advanced infantry, you go through deployment, you go through combat, if that might be, or you go or if you serve during peacetime, you have stories about where you were in Switzerland or Germany or South America or wherever you might have taken you. Those are all part of who you are, and they need to be shared for future generations and for your kids, just to understand what serving your country is all about.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. And what kind of legacy can we leave without a story?
Well, that's true, very much so. And, because what really needs to be done, and hopefully more so because of the media, because of people like yourself, are stories, and stories that need to be told, and how they interact with one another. And that's only how we're going to come to a better understanding of who the individual is and what the problems might be and how things can change later on. If nobody talks about their problems or talks about what needs to be changed, then it's not going to change, and it's only going to be the same as we go through generation after generation.
Well, I'm encouraged to learn that Warrior to Citizen and Veterans Leadership Program are just two of many organizations that allow someone who serves in the military or has served in the military to get what they need to get so that they don't go into a dark place.
That's right. And there's another whole industry out there about medical service dogs, and I say this because an impact that they make on individuals' lives, and especially those who are dealing with post-traumatic stress, those who have been dealing with mental health issues, as a lot of soldiers have, or first responders. And I'm just, because a lot of first responders come out of the military, and then continue and have a problem. And it's an interesting phenomenon from a medical service dog, the impact that they have on one's life. And if you look at those statistics, they have reduced suicide rates down to almost zero, divorce rates down from a percentage, because whatever that bonding is that takes place with that medical service dogs. And most of the time is that you can find an organization that donates, they raise money to help donate, train, and then give it to a veteran. So it's just another opportunity, as I say to your listeners out there, to say, oh, okay, fine. Is there one in my area? Is there one, someone close to understand? And there is a difference, and I should say, between a companion dog and a medical service dog in the training and understanding. I mean, they know when you might be having a nightmare. They know when you're being stressed. They understand that, and all of a sudden they're in your lap, or they wake you up, or whatever it might be. So they're amazing stories that I've heard from those who have medical service dogs.
I'm smiling because I know of those type of helps, right?
Right.
But I have a cat that does that too.
That's right.
It's kind of interesting how they innately know that you're in trouble and you need their comfort. You need to just know that they're there for you.
Right. Yeah. And that's all we ask, I think, is that somebody loves us. It doesn't necessarily be our spouse, but
I mean, that goes a long way.
It sure does.
Especially when you are headed into, or gosh, you've made it into a dark place. If you're heading into a dark place, or you made it into a dark place, just knowing that somebody really cares.
Yeah. And has an innate understanding. That's right. Yeah. They don't care. They're there for you.
Right. Now, let's just go back to the fact that in the military experience, we had a problem. We were told by the leadership, that's your personal problem. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
But when it comes to warriors, veterans, it's not just your personal problem. It is a opportunity. Let's look at it as an opportunity. And if you need some assistance in navigating that opportunity, you've got Warrior to Citizen, you have Veterans Leadership Program, and you have a lot of others. Then he also wants you to see that right there in your own backyard, in your own surrounding community, go and seek out. If you're a military veteran or warrior, seek out assistance. If you're supporting us, seek out ways to continue to support us with those that are supporting us, right?
Right. Yes.
Exactly what you're doing.
And that's, and so you don't have to do much more than that, except, help where you can, and give your time and energy where you can within your own community. It doesn't have to be, a big deal or a big, but anything helps that will help another individual.
Right. And that's a way to say, thank you for your service.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Rocky, for being on this show and for giving us some inspiration, and for showcasing Warrior to Citizen and the Veterans Leadership Program. And sir, I also salute you and your service to this country. And thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm going to wrap up this episode right after these messages.
America lost 22 yesterday. She could lose another 22 today. When is enough going to be enough? At the Veterans Ranch, we work with veterans, first responders, and their families through horses. The money you donate helps us expand our programs and help get that number down to 0. Help us serve the ones that served us all by going to project20,000.org and pledge $22 a month.
I'm Zach Damon, host of the Disability Channel Detroit. Please join us at the Disability Channel and watch the Disability Channel Detroit for all your Michigan disability information.
What a treat to have Rocky Blier in our virtual studio for so many reasons, other than the fact that he's NFL Hall of Famer. But aside from that, he's a Vietnam veteran. He's someone who has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and he is now continuing to serve in the way that he is serving. Military veterans and warriors, listen up. Your service to our country is saluted in so many different ways, is thankful to you in so many different ways. But I want you to understand that even though you were told any problem you have is a personal problem, go figure it out, I want you to know, first and foremost, it's your problem it's not really just a problem, but an opportunity that you can overcome with the help of somebody else. Just think about this. You can overcome whatever it is that you may be facing. Okay? Believe it. Because we did. We were in dark places. We were trying to figure things out. We were trying to show how strong we could be. But like Rocky said, there is strength in reaching out for help. There's that strength. There's that help. Reach out for help. You do that, and you will be a veteran onward to prosperity. Stay tuned for more episodes of Mission Pay It Forward Possible. Well, we're going to show you additional veteran service organizations by which they are stepping up and showing us in ways that we could never have thought possible, that helps people put their lives together after military service and keeps it that way. So until next episode, be all the best you can be.